I think I've found the most underrated city in France. This gorgeous Mediterranean city has 700 years of history, Italian and French influences, incredible food, and loads of beautiful buildings. If you've not been to Bastia in Corsica yet, here's why you should add it to your list. I was in Corsica on a DIY cruise where I took 4 night ferries in a row. So once I arrived into the city, I was very much in need of caffeine. I did a search and found the best coffee in Corsica, according to Google reviews. And I can attest it was very good. Then it was time to go and see the famous fort of Bastia.
So the first thing that you should know about Bastia is that the city built up around this very fort. Bastia actually means fort in the Genoese language. So the Genoese established a fort in the north of the island here, and the city built up around it, and for many years this was actually the capital of Corsica. So nowadays it's a modern history museum, but you can also see the historical fort. This is very creepy. It's just a room and then this boat here. And this area, it has been redone and you can't see that much anymore, but this used to be the prisons from the 17th century, and then they stayed here until after the French took over the island. That was a lovely little museum. I've been in there for about an hour and a half, and it's just purely about the history of Bastia and about Corsica as well, but I took so much in. So it's time for a little history lesson. The island of Corsica had its first settlements around 5,000 years before Christ, so like 7,000 years ago. Because of Corsica's advantageous position close to the Italian mainland, close to Sardinia, and also not too far from Sicily and not too far from the south of France as well, Corsica has been a trading hub for the last 4,000 years. It was conquered by Rome in 259 BC, and gradually Christianity was introduced. It was then Byzantine, and it was run by the Tuscans at one point, until Genoa started getting more and more stronger and took control of the island in the 13th century. And actually Corsica has been Genoese for a lot longer than it's been French. Genoa initially controlled the south of the island, Bonifacio and that area, but in the 14th century it moved to the north and it created Bastia, which is this very fort. So Genoa got control over the north in around 1357, and Bastia was constructed in around 1378. This whole area is called Terra Nova, which means like new earth, new area, but this was only established in the 14th century, so it's quite old, but it's called the new area. And then below is the port area, and that is called Terra Vecchia. So still today it's separated into 2 quite distinct areas. Anyway, I'm just out in the gardens now. I'm gonna have to take a behind the scenes photo because I look a bit ridiculous right now. People are gonna be like, what are you doing? And this has a stunning view of the coastline and of Italy as well. So I'll zoom in. This island on the horizon is the island of Pulverera, which is an Italian island, and I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but just behind the ship I can definitely see more land, which will be the Italian mainland. You see it maybe a little bit more over here. Definitely can't see it so much on camera, but trust me, Italy's over there. That is what's moulded the island's history since the beginning of time, basically. Also, I've just realised, being the easily pleased person I am, I came outside and I was like, oh yeah, nice, these are the gardens. In actual fact, I don't think these are the gardens at all. I think the gardens are up here. Bastia was run as a presidio, which is a walled stronghold to protect its harbour. A mole, which is a breakwater, was established, which made the harbour that bit more modern. The new harbour wasn't actually made until the 19th century. This city is so beautiful, and there are hardly any other tourists. Why do some cities get so much tourism and other cities are just as pretty and don't? I've just been in Barcelona, which was heaving, and Palma de Mallorca, which was heaving because Mallorca as an island gets tourists. I think if Palma was in a lesser known island, it probably wouldn't see as much tourists. But it's wild how different the sort of tourism is. And I'm sure that people here don't want tourism on the levels like a lot of European places this summer have had huge issues with over-tourism, and well, they've had huge issues with over-tourism for years, but I think this was the summer they got sick of it, understandably. But it's just, I just find it very, very interesting. I'm actually getting a bit peckish now, so I think it is time for some lunch. Maybe a little glass of vino or a little Aperol Spritz or similar. And then a bit more walking around this afternoon. I've just had lunch in the restaurant that's just behind me, San Piero it's called. I had a vegetarian pizza. It was good. It was a little bit bland, but not bad. I never know whether I should ask for chili oil and things here. No, people are much prouder of the food here than we are in the UK. It's lovely. The sun is out. Well, not really a cloud in the sky, but it is very, very, very windy. We had the same issue in Toulon yesterday, but at least it's not raining. So just behind me we've got the Cathedral Santa Maria de Bastia, and this cathedral was made in 1495 and then was remodelled in the 17th century. So she would have been made in the Genovese period and then remodelled in the French period. So let's see if we can see some of the different architectural styles. About to walk down from the Terra Novo and back down towards the harbour, which is where the first settlers were before the Genovese, but obviously it's been adapted quite a lot over the centuries and there's a lot of Genovese architecture everywhere in the city now. So from 1562 to 1769, Bastia was the stronghold of the island. It was the capital and it was the seat of the Genoese government on the island. In general, when you look at sort of history books, Corsica was divided between the Corsicans and the Genoese, but because Bastia didn't actually exist until the Genoese built the fort here, Bastia was always a bit more Genoese. So that's why now you'll see a lot of Genoese architecture in the city. There was growing resentment between the Corsicans and the Genoese in the 18th century, and this accumulated in a 40-year civil war. After the Civil War, Corsica was actually declared an independent state in 1755. However, the northern part did actually remain Genoese, but most of it was independent at this point. And in 1769, the island was annexed to France. But at one point, the British actually intervened in 1794, and for 2 years it was actually under British control, and then France took it again. I've just come down a tiny bit to an area called Pulverera, and there's no information about it. I don't know what the history is behind it, but it's sort of kind of the ruins of a building, or an older building, and it's right on this peninsula with this incredible view out to the rest of the city, the more modern part of the city, and you've got the mountains and the coast as well. It's really beautiful. I feel like this building means something and I can't work out what. There are some steps there, so let's go and have a walk down them and see if there's anything of note down there. Guess I'll walk along here, see where I end up. Back at the Terra Vecchia now. Quite scenic with the blue water, and then the buildings over there. I'm going to head over there shortly, have a little look around those. And I can also see the port. I think the ferry that I came in on has already left. I don't think that Corsica ferries is mine, but that ferry over there that says Moby on it, I think that is my ferry that goes over to Genoa. So let's go and have a little walk up to this lighthouse, and then I might be able to see it a bit more. Just walked down a bit and discovered this roaring lion. So this was created by Richard Orlinski, who is a contemporary French sculpture and has been here since 2020. My target is over there. I see an ice cream shop and I would like my afternoon ice cream. I've just been sitting on this pier that stretches out from the harbour area. Just had an ice cream and yeah, just watching the world go by. After my ice cream, I head into the city centre to learn a bit more about Corsica's modern culture and specifically its calls for independence. So there is an independence movement here. Obviously, Corsicans have different history to the French and they speak a different language, so there are a lot of calls for them to be an independent state. Just walking down one of the main roads, and there's quite a lot of street art here. Well, some is street art, some is more like graffiti. but there seems to be quite a lot of independence calls in some of this art. And this place came up when I was looking at things to do in Bastia as somewhere where you can buy a lot of local food, local products. What have we got? Charcuterie from the mountains, cheese from our place, something wine, jams, honey, take with you on your travels, vacuum pat. Tripped and fell into a bar serving Aperol Spritz, so I had an Aperol Spritz. And I did just want to point out behind me is the first shop I've seen here that is selling tourist tat. In Barcelona it was heaving with tourist tat, and there was quite a lot in Palma de Mallorca as well. There are some on this street, there's one behind me as well. Nothing as brash as there was in Barcelona. Really enjoy the pun of this top though.
It was nearly time to get to the port, so I grabbed some supplies and headed over.
I picked my bag up and I am getting ready to say goodbye to Bastia. It has been a lovely day in Corsica. I think I will have to plan another trip here. If you're sticking around, then I recommend watching this video about another Mediterranean island, one you've probably heard of and one that is very different to Corsica because it's really struggling with over-tourism at the moment. So give it a watch and let me know in the comments what you think of it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye!